What obstacles have you faced in pursuit of starting the academy and building the brand?
I've faced a lot of different obstacles, man. I'm not one that will tell someone that um, I've never failed.
Mhm.
I've failed several times, multiple times. I've failed,
Yeah.
but again, I've allowed those failures opportunities for me to grow,
Mm.
and for me to learn from those failures
Yeah.
and get up and do better and do it differently.
Right.
Because it's those failures that has strengthened me
Mhm.
and allowed me to endure some of the things now that people go and jump off of bridges for.
Wow.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, it's those failures that I was able to endure that gives me that strength. Me and my brother was just talking about that the other day. He was like, man, we built different. And I was like, we are. he was like, man, some of the stuff we've had to go through, other people would have lost it. And I was like, you right, it was a real moment for the both of us because we were thinking about that. And I was like, he's right. He is always right. Some of the things that we've experienced and we've gone through, especially me when it comes to business, because I thought you was about to ask me like currently what I'm going through. I was like, I got one for you right now. but anytime through business, man, one thing I've told myself is this: people don't plan to fail; they fail to plan.
Yeah.
And so, because I've learned to step back and plan certain things, doesn't mean it's always going to go according to my plan.
Mm.
And I realize that. But the faster that I'm able to realize that and not get ahead of the plan, because the true plan is not my plan.
Right.
So
right.
the moment I get ahead of the plan is when I can always see things derailing and me having to go right when I should have went left.
Yeah, you got to be knocked back a little bit.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would think, man, honestly, the most difficult time in business for me might have been, I won't say trying to get this place open because at that point, my maturity level when it comes to my faith was at a different point.
Mm.
It was when my maturity level when it came to faith was not at that point. So I would have to say the first time I taste failure was probably the most difficult time for me.
Wow.
I was one of those young men. My son Jesse, this dude, he is funny because he reminded me so much of myself when I was young because he literally would tell me, he was like, Pops, I'm the greatest. Like I can do anything, I can do anything. And I was like, he's right. He can. He can. I know he can. He can. And I was like that. I didn't say it. I didn't force it. But I had this confidence about me growing up as a young man that I knew whatever I set my hands to do, I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the first time I taste failure to where I didn't know what to do because I was so used to doing stuff and it just happening to where now, hey, that didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen.
Right.
But as I began to trust the process of what I was going through and realize that, okay, this is not the end, is when that door opened back up.
Yeah.
And that would be, I remember, man, I lost at a very young age. I remember the first time I lost like $60,000. On top of that, I was in debt like another $100 and some $1,000. And it was all behind me trying to open up a barbershop inside Greenspoint Mall.
Oh, well, that's the problem. It was in Greenspoint Mall.
Bro, but back then...
They ain't got nothing but a movie theater and a fitness connection.
You talking about now. But if you go back
back then,
15, 20 years ago, no, sir. You had Visible Changes in there. So if Visible Change was in there, it was some action going on there. And that was one of the places that I was working on opening up a shop. And I remember I had gotten some investors behind me and everything, man. And to show good faith, I dump all my money in first, you know.
Yeah.
And right around that time, stock market crashed, and most of my investors, that's where they were pulling their money from.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden now I'm just sitting here with this project
With all your money.
with my money in it, and it's time to go to the next phase, and I don't have no money.
Wow.
Nor do I have any investment.
Wow.
And I saw something that I thought was fin to be completed, go from completion or almost completed to totally failure, like just having to walk away from the entire project.
How did you deal with that?
How did I deal with it? First I dealt with it with a lot of shame. I dealt with a lot of shame because I had already told all my clients. I had already told the guys in the barbershop, like, you know, not in a mean way or anything, but I've always learned to do things in decency and order. No matter, because you don't know when you're going to need somebody else.
Right.
So the gentleman that I was working with at the time, I had already told him, you know, what I was doing. And I had even committed to like telling him, I was like, look, I'm not even going to take any more clients in here. I'm only going to work on the clients that I do have. And so when that all failed, man, I remember going back to him, and he embraced me like a father would,
right?
You know, because I did it the right way. And so I went right back to work. I went right back to work behind that chair, cutting as if, you know, it was hurting on the inside. It was digging at me on the inside. And I remember I was leaving home one day on my way to work. And I passed a shop that I used to work in as a little boy. Well, because I was bootlegging early. I passed a shop I used to work in as a little boy. And I passed this shop, and I remember seeing them like look like they was moving out of the shop. And I'm thinking like, this shop closing down? So I pull over in the parking lot. Now this is after I just lost all my stuff, right?
Yeah.
Everything that went haywire, and I didn't fail at this project, you know?
Right.
And so I pull over in the parking lot, and I asked them, I said, what's going on here? And it's like, yeah, we shutting down, we closing. I said, y'all closing?